Welcome everyone. There is an effective way of you detailing your slab, cutting your section, detailing your column, cutting your section on the beam, you know, detailing, making it presentable, all the rebars, the runners, your column layout for the roof, for the beam, and as well as the first floor slab. This is an effective way of you detailing it, different from what you got from the software. So detailing, in other words, is all a way of you making a design more presentable. You can see what we have here and what I have here. So today's video, I will be taking you on the step by step on how you're going to detail an effective beam layout. My name is STADAS and I'm your instructor. Now let's begin. Now looking at this is what you got from when you export your design from protastructure, prota detailing. This is what you got. Like the previous video we did. Please, if you've not watched, you should go and watch the two floor duplex you must start with. You can see at the third part, I illustrate how you're going to export down to this level, how you're going to export, take it down to your proto structure, and you export all this, you bring this, you generate all this, and you export it down. So by the time you get to AutoCAD, export to AutoCAD, you'll find a way of presenting this to make it more viewable instead of just doing this. I'm sure you don't want to do this. You see, it's looking congested. So you have to make the design as simple and transparent so that it be very understandable on site. So first of all, you get rid of the color because, for example, now I want to change this color because the color is not cap. So the color is a little bit dim. So I want to make this color an effective one. So I'm going to click on it and I get the layer. In this editing, mind you, you're going to use more of layer, be using more of layer, and we'll be using more of the text because we're going to label all this beam so that we're going to identify this beam on site. Maybe the site engineer or the site instructor can be, every of your plan can be very transparent on site. So what we're going to do now is to label this. But before we do that, we're going to make sure that the layout while we design, although we're going to print this out as maybe black and white color, but while you're doing your design, you have to make sure that everything is, you have a suitable color to the eye. So me looking at the color of the beam, looking at it from this level, I cannot actually tell which is the grid and which is the beam. So what I'm going to do is to highlight, and I got the beam line with the beam layer. Mind you, everything should be by layer. So clicking this, I'm going to change the layer color. Just changing the layer color. I'm going to change this to cyan. So it to be, so having this beam line, let's try to do that to all of them. We are using this just for an example. This is the foundation and this is the roof. So let's use the roof. Let's use the first floor as an example. So we'll go to quick select. So you go to quick select and say beam line. Get your beam line. Highlight all the beam line and you go to color and that's where. So you can tell from here, you can see that you have a shouty color different from this, even from what we have before. You could see. So in this um, level, you can see this other one. We have this edge slab. So we're going to change. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to turn this. We'll change all that to. So we can also have. So in this area, we have our staircase. So where you have your staircase, we're going to make it void. You're going to take your line. You're going to make sure you have that area to be void. Now you doing this, every structural design carrying this, whenever you see something like this, indicate that that place is an open space, it's a void area. So when you see something like this, a cross sign indicates that is what is a void. So on this design, this is indicating that this is where we have our staircase. All right. So this is where we have the staircase. So every other place will be detailed. So Looking at this, I don't want to represent this. I don't want to show the two-way span design from the slab. So I'm going to take them off. So in that, I come to quick select and go to the slab label and I erase, successfully deleting it. So check this layer. This layer is edge line. Let's say I have the edge line over here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to delete the slab edge line. Mind you, these have the same layer with this because the software came, this is slab edge line. So if you delete this, you're going to take off all these members also because they are originally slab edge line. So what we're going to do is to first of all carefully highlight the one inside. So I want to go to the edge. And you go to quick select and you locate slab edge line. Click on slab edge line. You say okay. So you check and see it picked this staircase line. I don't want that. So you hold your shift and you click to untick this very line. All right. And you erase. Same thing. Then you can erase this. Just try to erase everyone that is not part of it. Now you see, I've successfully removed all the slab label and all the slab line. So this is how I want it to be. So currently now I'll be turning off this layer, the column layer, because it's just looking congested right now. So we'll be turning that off. This column label. You look at column label and you click on this bubble. Click on this bubble, shrink blue, and see we've turned off the label. We'll be using the beam label. So what we're going to do right now is to get the text that we use to run this. So you get a text to identify various beam because we're going to take the whole of this span beam. Now we have three span here. We have this at the cantilever end, we have this span, we have this straight span, and on the second beam here, we have this span over here. We have another span, and as the middle as we go. So you can see we have numerous span here, but we don't want to take them as they are on the label currently, because you can see on the label currently we have different beam. This is beam 48 at floor level 1. This is beam 40, this is beam 45, 46. I don't want to do that. Just want to take the whole of this beam to be as one and the whole of this as one. I'm going to trace it down to where it falls on this beam. So I'm going to provide it at the label so that the structural the site engineer can read this as one. So this is what we're going to do. So currently we're going to copy this. So this is one. So if you can check what I did at some of my beam, we have the internal beam which run by 225 by 150, and some will go by 225 by 450. So that should be indicated, in as much as we have them along the beam. So what you're going to do is to first of all place all the label on all the beam, and later you can change the sizes. All right, so let's just copy this and let's start inserting. We'll copy at this level, make sure we have a cursor, so we'll keep it straight. So at this point we're going to make sure we centralize this because of the span of the beam. All right, so here we have a longer beam. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to try to put it at this area here to make sure I have a centralized text. The text is centralized. So coming over here we still have other beam. So typically what I'm trying to do here is to make sure I place the beam text on all the beams area, on all the beams line. Each of them identify the span, the whole span. Each of the text identify the whole span. So that's what I'm trying to do right here. So I'm going to put this right, and I'm going to put it on this other side, on the both the horizontal direction and both the vertical direction. You're going to make sure you're going to paste all this on all the beams um, span. So now you can see that I've successfully, placed all the beams, all the text on all the beams. So I did it from all the horizontal directions, and also from the vertical direction. You can see me identifying both on the vertical direction because the beams are in both directions. You have to put them. So right now, what you're going to do is to label them, because what we did is to copy it and can see all of them the same sizes and having the same beam number, telling you beam one. So what we're going to do is to indicate this is beam one, and we'll have beam two here. So we'll name this beam two. So the next beam will follow the grid, please. This is grid 16. So this will be grid 3, beam 3 rather. This is beam 3, and this will be beam 4. Beam 4. The next one will be beam 5. Sorry, beam 5. And the next will be beam 6. So I have beam 5, beam 6, beam 7. So, so what we're going to do here, look at this place. Now, I'm so sure that I have beam 1, 7, beam 1 7, understand, 74, beam 1b 74. So at this area now, this beam and this beam, I guess they are sharing the same equal span, so I guess the stress might be the same. So in this regard, what you do is you check the properties of this beam. If they have the same properties of this beam, then we can easily identify that this beam and this beam are what, are the same beam. All right, so here we have beam 74 and 73. So we'll go and check beam 74 and beam 73. Now this is beam 74 and 73. You can see because we have the same span as, yeah, in the same direction. So what we have here is a 216 or 2y16 or at the bottom region and 2 at the top region for this beam. And similarly, we have 2 at the top region and 2 at the bottom, and they have the same span. So no need calling them separate beam since they have the same property and they are together. They have the same distance, the same length, and the same configuration, especially the numbers. For any reason where you have maybe there's a change, maybe this beam comes with maybe 4 or 3, and this is 2 and 3. Maybe you have different configuration, please name them separately. But here you can see that we have, they are all the same, 2 2, 2 up and 2 down, 2 up and 2 down. So in this regard, we're going to make this one beam. We're going to call this beam 4, and this will be also beam 4. So this will be beam 4. You don't name it separately, right? Right? But sometimes when you have something like this, try to avoid because of this cantilever area. In case if you see any similar, maybe running the same span or the same length, try to avoid because of the cantilever. It might come with different um, orientation. So here we have 4, we have 7 here, and the next one, this one I'm trying to say, if you have this and this, you can see we have different column position. So different column position. So in my opinion, even if you see this beam and this beam to have the same configuration, because of they have different configuration, you can see here I have one column here, and here I have 2 supports here, and the join and the cantilever. So one is at the edge and one is at the middle. So please, in this, always name them different. Don't use the other principle to do them. So we have 7, we have 8 here. Coming over here, we're going to name them 9. So this is how we're going to name all of them. This is how we're going to name them. Now we've gotten to the last one at the bottom here. This one will be 15. So successfully naming all of these from 1 as it is down to 13 and 14, and here at the last horizontal here we have what, we have 15. So it's note, you start from this, you don't start from the closest, right? We are following grid. You can look at all the labels we are naming. we are all following grid step by step. Each beam, each grid, that's how you name. You get to the last beam at the last grid, which is grid 15. So also you come over here and you start on the y direction. You start from the first, the first beam. You start naming down to where you have the last beam on this last grid. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we have 15. So this will be what? 16. This will be 16. And which beam is the next grid? At this, we have two beams on this grid. So you take the first one. So this will be what? 17. And the same grid, we have the next one to be 18. You can see. We don't say because this beam is bigger, it's larger than this, we're now called no, no, no. You have to take order, right? We're going to maintain our order. So here we'll have 17, we have 18, and there's no other beam on this grid. So check the next grid here, we have another beam here. So this beam, since the last one was 18, this will be 19, all right? And on that grid, no other beam. So we have another grid here. Look at, we have this grid. This grid, there's a reflection of another beam here from this other beam. So we have to follow grid, right? So follow this grid. So this will be beam 20. And we'll go to the next grid down here. And this will be 21. This is grid 21. And here we have the next one to be 22. That's how we label till the end. 22, 23, 23, and we have here to be 24. 24, and here is what? 150, right? You can see the depth of this beam is 450 by 150. The depth of this beam is going to reflect here. So we have here to be what? To be 450, right? It's an internal beam. We have an internal beam of 450 by 150 following the size of the slab, right? So the same thing over here. So at this point, you can see we have a drop beam here. You can see we have a drop beam, and the drop beam here is 225 by 450. So maintain 225 by 450 at this region, and at this region we have what? We have 450 by 150. So in the same vein, we have the same beam here. So it's proper for you to copy and input it over here. Can put it over here and see, so that on site it's not going to convince, it's not going to, be difficult to trace. It can be very, very easy. So this is 24 and so on and on. So on this last one here, on and on we go, we'll detail all of them. So the last one here we have 28. You can see. So successfully detail from the first to the second, 1, 2, 3, till we get to the bottom here. We name it 15, and we'll start 16 from this angle. Always do this so that all your detailing, all your number, the placing of the beam will just go in an understanding order. It's very, very simple for someone on site to follow this order, all right, instead of just dropping similar beam, all right. So we'll go to this area, and at the end of the day, we're successfully naming them down to 28. So we're going to have 28 numbers of beam. And if you come here, if you count the numbers of beam here, we're going to have 28, though it is 29, because we substitute these two beams to be one, right? This beam 4, right? To be 4. So that's what, if you count the numbers of days, that's what you have. So what we're going to do next here, you're going to copy this. We're going to take our text, because the slab we designed was for what? We have a slab thickness of what? 150 thickness concrete slab. So we're going to impute this all over. Now we have two approach. We have two approach in doing this. The first approach could be you taking a line, the simple approach, taking a line starting from the end point. Here I have a slab here, so I can just start from this point and I'll take it down to maybe the last point here, cutting across line. You can see. So if I do this, I'll get this text and I'm going to copy this Sorry, I'm going to copy this and try to paste it somewhere that will not have interaction from the beam or anything. So I'm going to rotate this, following the angle of the beam, right? So this indicates, you can see now this is another approach. This is number one approach. You can do this, telling us that along this area, when you see something like this with one label, this indicates that the whole of the span you should do what it consists of 150 thickness, 150 thickness millimeter. So this is what you do. This is another step. Another procedure you can do is by doing what? Is by labeling all the panels, putting all the text on the panels. I start by putting all the text on the panels. You can see where necessary, where you have your concrete, where we need to be cast. So you can see we successfully put every text along the panel. So what you're going to do is try to make sure that all, including all the smaller panels, try and make sure that everything cut across, you know, you insert them. Like in this place, we know we have um, them overlapping. You can put it at one side of the corner, and over here too, because this small panel is a slab, or you can just leave it also, because we're going to remove this text. So all this text will be all alone. We're going to remove this beam text, so this text will be all alone in the area. So you can see the two way. So either you're using a line to cut across the whole entire span and specify a label telling us that we'll have what 150 thickness of the slab. You can also do that, or you can also use your the text to put all across the panel. All the panels must have, all the panels where there will be indication for slab casting should what to carry the text, so that the site engineer will understand that, you know that such area needs to be reinforced with what, with iron, and will be cast. It's not a void. You understand? So this is how you achieve your layout. But when you're done with the column, there's another thing you're going to do. When you're done with the column, section preparation, so you're going to identify the various types of column, right? You're going to add the column label, right? You're going to add all the column types. So by you adding all the column types, then you achieve a proper layer. So after doing this, we're going to trace, but you leaving this, this is how it's going to look like. So you can see this is how it's going to look like in both direction. So let's say we are not using this. Let's say we are not using this. Let's say we're not using this line method. Let's say we're using the insert method. Let's say we're taking this off. All right. So taking this off, we're also going to take this off. So we're going to take this off, and we're going to place this along this area. So let's put this along the horizontal, because if I use this, it cannot fit in the place. I don't want the text to cut across the beam. I just want each of the text to, form around the beam area. You can see what I did over here. So even the cantilever along this area, everywhere you have your concrete along the edges, within the balcony and everywhere. So you're going to introduce, everywhere you have your slab, you're going to introduce this text specifying that there will be a concrete slab over there, all right? Concrete slab thickness of what? 150 millimeter. So in that achievement, this is how it's going to look like. After you might have done your column and put your column label, this is how you're going to print back. print it out and how you're going to put it in your template. But you know, because it's ready right now. But what we're going to do, we're going to bring back the text, the beam label, so that we can otherwise trace them. We're going to bring back the text label because I hide the text label. That's why you see it this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on this notification, and all the text for the beam is going to come out. All right, it's going to come back. So in this, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this down over here. For the purpose of this video, I'll be using this template because you're going to have a template where you're going to put, you arrange your beam to, right? And this is going to have a template on its own too, where you're going to put and specify uh, for the various type of format for printing, right? This is floor layout for the beam and column floor layout. So what we're going to do is to put in the beam. So we're going to do, what first thing you need to do is to come over here. Always start by the first point, not coming, because if you come over here to check the beam here, it's very difficult for you to trace it here. All right, to trace it when you got to the section. So it's very good for you to start from the edge. You look at B1 83, look at 83. So what do we do? We look at you search for beam what? Beam 83 here. You come here and you look at beam 83. You can use the search method, or you can decide to view. You can decide to view anyone that you feel is okay. So you can see our beam. This look at the beam 83 here. So what we're going to do is to copy this beam out, to move it, right? Go to move it down to the template because it is our first beam. You have to make sure that you copy all of them, highlight, and you move it down to the template. So this will be the first beam on the template. You see, this will be the first beam on the template because it's what? B3. All right. So the second beam is 84, right? So you go to 84 and you move 84 down to the sheet. This is what you keep doing. I don't have space here because of how the beam is. So you have to make sure you keep it very, very strict. So you go to the next. The next beam 3 is what? Beam 3 is 96. So you go to 96. Where do we have 96? 96 is down over here. So we're going to pick up 96. So this is the same thing you keep on doing. Push it down to the template. You can't add it here. So you're going to make sure you have a straight arrangement, right? So on the beam 4, what's beam 4? Beam 4 is 74, right? Beam 5 is 77. So try to make it fast. So I have 74 and 77, right? 74 and 77, right? So in this regard, we're going to move 74. We're going to move 74 down here, show straight, and we'll come back and we'll get 77. This is 77. Same thing, gotta make sure it's straight. The arrangement should be straight. Don't just put it anyhow. Otherwise, you can use a line to arrange it. You can put an horizontal line, you pick a point and you arrange it. So we'll go to the next one. This is 5. So we'll go to 6. So 6, you come to the end, always come to the start point. We have 85. So you come to the always search. So at this point, we have 85 here. So we'll move 85 to the next row. So that's 85. So the next one will be this 85. So on 7 will be what? 7 is 72. Right? So go to 72, copy 72. I will move 72 down. I think we'll not be needing the calculator at this point. This property layer. So let's take it off. So it's off. So the next point of beam 8. Beam 8 is what? 70, and beam 9 is what? 86. So I have 70 and 86, all right? So this is 86, all right? This is 86, but we need 70 first, right? We'll go with 70 first. So here is 70, here is 70. So we'll get 70 first, remove, we have 70 at this region. And what do? We'll come back and we'll get our 86. This is 86. Remove, it can attach it here because of how the template is. So we can have numerous templates. There's nothing bad about it. So we're going to form another, going to create another template by copying this same template. I'm going to copy this same template. I'm going to copy it down, right? So we'll copy it down to this region and another one. Just have to duplicate them so that in case if we need it, we can always come back to use it effectively. So we'll come over here, you place it. Don't forget, this is 86. So always put it in mind. This is a fast way of doing it. You always put it in mind. But if you know maybe you're going to do it, you're going to get confused. What advice is what you're going to do is to start indicating the text, copying the text. For example, you go to 6 to be 45, where you have 45, right? This is 6. You indicate 45 to be beam 6. You can identify it to be beam 6, or you create another layer. So you can see over here, I've deleted out the other text because it's a little bit smaller than this. So I have to create a numbers of, a proper presentable text for it. So we're going to put this at the middle. Mind you, I'm going to delete this other red, the text in red. So this is the one I'm going to leave after I might be done with the editing. So this is beam 6. So this beam 6 edition, what do we have? We have 150 at this region and 450 at this region. So what do you do here? You copy this, you place another one here. So we're going to put another one here, and we're going to edit this since we have 25 by 150. Hello. So what you're going to do is always look at the text below. So the text below specify 225. Look at it here. 225 by 225 by 150. We have 225 by 150, so I indicate it. Look what I mean here. This text is the design text. It says 225 by 150. So we're going to indicate it here. But on this other area, we still have that same, we have 225 by 450. So here is going to be 450. This is going to be 450, right? So this is 450 and this is this. So from this part down will be 225 by 450. Sorry. 225 by 450, and over here we'll have 225 by 150. Good. So that's for column 6. So if you get confused, or the more you put the text, the more you get confused. Now, in having this identify that we have, this is beam 6. So we have beam 1 over here, beam 2, beam 3, beam 4, beam 5, and beam 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you can easily count. So when you lost your trace, you can count the numbers of, you can come over here and say, okay, this is beam 6. Therefore, we have 5, 6, and 7. So the next one you're going to is what? Beam 8. Because as long as you keep doing it, it will come to a time whereby you might even get confused. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you are. You might forget what you do. Maybe you're talking, or maybe you're working, maybe in an office area also. So you can just come and say, okay, this is where we have beam 6, okay, 7, 8, 9. The next one I'm going for is what? Beam 10. It will be easy that way. You come back to what? Beam 10. And beam 10 is 87. 87. So you look at 87, I guess this is 87. So this is the same thing you keep doing, keep tracing and tracing till you get to, and say here we can put and cut. I want them to be on the same plate template. I don't want to cut. You see, so you always give this space such that you can put your text, right? So that you can put your text in between these rows. You can see the way I put it. So that's how you keep placing all the reinforcement. You go back, you trace, you come over here. That's what we're going to do. So right now we're going to wait till we get to the final to like put this so we're fast about this. So right now, finally, we are almost at the last part of the job. So what we're going to do right now is look at 27. 27 is fall at the middle here. So we'll say 4, 4, and 10 should be the last. You can see 10 is the last. So what we're going to do is to copy this too. So we're going to move them rather, place them right in the template. So the next step, you can see successfully, we're going to place all these templates so we can use it for the other, roof um, beams. So we're going to use these other ones to do the roof beams so that we can label them and take them later. But you can see from what we've achieved, we successfully put all our beam for the first floor in a particular template from the first to the second, to the third, to the fourth, and to the fifth. This is how you place your beam in the template by tracing them after doing your layer. All right, don't forget on the layer, the beams and the column layer for the first floor level, and we're going to use it to trace like what I've shown. And I told you we have 29, but simply because we duplicate this, we have this beam 74 and beam 73 having the same property, so we have to make them 4. That's why we're having this guy remaining. No, that's why we're having this remaining, because it's the same thing as beam 4, right? It's the same thing as beam 4 over here. All right, so we can take this off. You can choose to delete this, take this off. So successfully we achieved putting our first floor beams into the template. Right, so this is how you do it. So in this regard, don't forget we just added them in the template. So we're going to copy a text and we're going to put a text all of them, remembering that some of the beam has some area to be a different size of beam. You can see we have 225 by 150 over here, and over here we have 225 by 450. So when you're placing your text, you have to take note of those regards to place them in those areas. You can see this flushing along this area. Please, as when you're editing, your eye should be more closer to this. You pay attention, because after running the structural design, this is the output result of the structural design. All right, this is a output result of the analysis that came out. Because this is what they are going to use to work on site. So if you're just going, for example, you copy one label here, you copy this. So you can see now we are done with all our beam arrangement in the sheet properly. It is inside the template right now. This beam over here is for the roof, right? For this roof plan, that's what we need it. So we're going to use other template to put this. But for the purpose of this video, let's keep it short, because similar thing, the same thing we do here is what we are going to do this similarly. We're going to identify all the beams and we're going to trace it and put it into the beam. That's what we just need to get. So currently now what we're going to do is to put all the text and arrangement, because we have all of them specified from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and all beam label. So the same thing we did here, we'll place it without naming. So right now we're going to copy and we'll paste them. So currently now we have this to be beam 1 and 1 number. Now something should draw your attention. You should always put your eye over here, because if you just put your beam, if you just put a text, for example, you copy a text, let's say you copy a text here, copy your text over here, and let's use this beam for example. You put this beam here. Now you putting this beam now, for example, you say okay, we have our beam 1, beam 2, beam 3, beam 4, and this is beam 5. Now you label this, to be beam 5, and you leave it one number, correct. But this is what happened. Now the site engineer might look at this and will be thinking or having in mind, will this beam start from here, from this uh, y4, from this grid? Is it 450 from end to end? Which is not true. You can see we have from this span down to this span to be 450, and over here we have it 150. All right, while 150 over here. So it's proper that you indicate it the way it should be on the plan. So what we're going to do, we're going to add another beam here, indicating that we have 150 over here. We can later come and edit this. So what we're going to do right here is to simply changing the sizes. We're going to change the size over here, 150 by 225. So that's what we have. All right. So this is what we've done over here. So that's what we're going to do over. So that's what we did over here. You can see here, I have 150 depth here and I have 450 all over this span. And on the second beam, which is beam 2, I have this depth to be 150, that is 225 by 150 millimeter. And from here, from our grid, first grid down to the last grid here, over here, y1 to y3, I'm having a depth of 450 by 225, 225 by 450. And on this other hand, I'm still having a depth of 150 by 225 by 150. So I have to indicate it that we have 225 by 150 over here and 225 by 150, whereas the middle beams remains 450. In your opinion, you can choose to place the text each of the span, since you have different sizes along this area, and at the end you can choose to put the 450 over here, 450 here, 450 over the span, and 450 over the span, and regulating this other span by what? By 150 and 225 by 150 at the last end. So here we have the whole of this beam to be 450. So your eye should always go when you're putting your text. But whereas what we're going to do right now is to copy a particular text and we'll start naming them or editing them. So right now we're going to copy here, copy beam 1. We're going to place it here. So we're going to check over here. We have 450. So we're going to drop the first one and we'll drop the second one. What do we have here? We have similar thing. We're going to drop here and we're going to drop here. And over here, just like beam 2, you can see over here we have a truncated beam over here. So we keep on naming. All right. So I think that will be the end of it. So you come back and we will come back and say this. Now over here, this is beam 1, this is beam 2, this is beam 3, beam 4. So you check. I mean beam 4. Beam 4 is 450 also. So over here beam 5 like we showed in the example, and here is beam 6, and also beam 6 that is done. We'll go over beam 7. Beam 7. That's how you name all the beams we have, and this will be beam 8. This will be beam 8. Beam 8. But let's not forget that beam 4 appears 2 times. So in this beam 4, we're going to say 2 numbers, because beam 4 appears 2 times. It happens to be the only number that happened appears two times. So the same thing, we're going to name all of this to the end. All right, so now we are done with our label. So you can see what we've done so far. You can see we've successfully named all of them, right? From 1 down to 28, right? So that's how you keep on naming them, because the way same pattern you use in arranging the sheet, you know how to do it. Just arrange the numbers such that what you have, the same thing you have here, you can see 28 here is what at 10. 1B10 is beam 28. That's the startup. We have 10, we have 9, we have 8, right? We have 7 over here. So that's 8. So if you check it on the plan, that is to tell you that that is this beam, right? This beam 28, that's this beam, this is 9, and this is 10 to start with, and 7, 8, So that's the beam. So this is how you arrange your beam in your template and your layer, right? Or beam layer, this is how you position it, and you reflect it on the plan, as simple as this, so that the site engineer can be able to you know get rid of some errors and some mistake. So when you do this, we can easily take this off because we are done with this. So we can easily hide this label. So this is our beam label. So beam label D, we are going to hide this beam, so it's not going to be showing, right? Not going to show you. We don't need it anymore. So what we're going to do right now is to click on the beam what? Beam label. Let's go to beam label. Beam label D. So we hide it. You click, you can see they're all gone. So only this will be showing. So like I said, you can also, if you want, you can also place it, because what you're doing at detailing is trying to give a better presentation, right? So you have to give your better presentation at your best interest. So you're going to present this to suit the content of the job you're doing, the job description. So you can see how we place it. So this is the one we'll be using, reading this today. So we're also going to delete the beam labels. This beam label we have over here, we're going to take them off because we're going to be reading this. All right. So we're going to be reading that. So we're going to take off the beam label also. So beam label on white. We'll take this off. You can see this is how it should be, right? This is how your beam should look like when you're done with your label. All right. So what we're going to do right now is to get a template. We're also going to provide a template, and we're going to put this on the template. So by the time you're doing this and you put it on the template, this is the proper way for you to do it. The next thing you need to do over here is to go to your dimension. You have to dimension all this grid, right? We're going to dimension this. So click on dimension. Before click on dimensions, let's create a layer for it. So we're going to click on layer for it. Let's use dimension line, right? Use dimension line. Click on dimension. Come over here. Let's turn up our snap. Click, go to the end, drag to the end, and you click. You can see the total span on your grid. So we'll do the same over here. Click here, click the next grid. So this will be your dimension. So what you do is to keep on processing by clicking all of them. Sorry, I'm running the background. I'm running an update on the background. That's why I'm having this slow motion over here. But that not mind. Let's focus on the thing we're doing. All right. So you know what to do. Just create a dimension. Just dimension all of them. God, this is pretty slow. This is pretty slow. Just bear with us. I'm running the background check. So you can see. So in this regard, this same thing, you're going to this is how you detail this or other part of it. You can see, for the purpose of this video, because I'm running a background check over here, I'm having a slow mode here. So that's what you do. You can see. So this is how you detail all of it. You're going to run your dimension in this axis too, this axis and this axis. So in this regard, you put this on your template. So this is how you present your design when you're done. You present your well detailed structural beam. So if you find this video interesting, if you love what you're seeing, please like, subscribe, and comment. We'd love to see your comment. If you have some other way to do it, please feel free to share your ideas in the comment section. All right. And we also carry out training if you want to do any kind of design, different kind of design, your slab or your foundation design. We also carry out training, mentoring people on how to do a detail and a proper design. All right. So what we're going to do is to put this in a template and we'll be done with this section. So after doing this, you're going to arrange it. After all checked is being done, dimension is being properly made, you're going to put it into your template sheet. You're going to arrange it. All you're going to do is to form a bigger template bigger than this. You're going to put it. But if you want a proper template, you know, um, have a better template whereby you can use for your design. Template where you can buy, you can use for your design as a proper guide. It's going to guide you on the process, how you're going to do your proper detail. If you want that, it's going to take you or cost you a little, you know, cash to do that. So we're going to send this template down to you. But for both of this video, this is how you're going to detail your beam layout, you know, getting a proper beam layout. Okay, so now we've come to the end. We've arrived at the end of this video. You can see what I did here is to put here into a template and arrange it horizontally, from the first order down to the last order, and put this into a beam. And I'm going to introduce a line so that they are going to be in a uniform order. All right. Please, if you like what you see, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to this video. All right. So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thanks and bye for now.